So I'm Bob Hall. I'm Vice President of Industrial Business Development for Structural Group, and been working in the concrete infrastructure repair business for about 15 years.
And I'm Tom Kline. I'm Director of Investigate Design Build Services for the company. And I've been working for structural for 20 years, and I worked for consultants 15 years before that in concrete restoration and failure analysis.
So you've been long-time attendees and participants and sponsors of Coking.com, Refinery Community. What makes you decide to come back year after year after year?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that the safety and reliability of the coking world has led to work for us. So by installing delta valves, the installation of those valves, which is very much more of a safe practice for the industry, they have to install them on their infrastructure. And Tom, maybe you can explain.
Yeah, primarily, when we come to these trade shows, we're civil contractors. So most of the people that are here are chemical, electrical, mechanical, engineering background. And all of their assets actually have to be attached to something that's going to take the load of those assets down to the earth. And the way that that's done is it's usually attached to concrete or steel structures. And then we get involved with evaluating the quality of that prior to putting in these very heavy and very large units that are used to increase the safety. And what I know Bob and I have gotten out of this for the last 10 years has been an understanding of the process. I mean, we absolutely understand, the situation with civil structural issues, but when it comes to process and then working around the process, because many times the owners are asking us to do this kind of work online, and for us to understand the safety hazards with that is critical.
So what you've learned here is that safety and the mechanical side have to work together. Has there been anybody that you've met here that's influenced the way that you run your business or the way that you do your work? Any in particular person you'd like to call out, or just in general?
I think many of the guest speakers have influenced the way that we go about our work. This not only do you have technical people, but you also have had some keynote speakers about safety and reliability around the coke drums. And many of those messages were taken back to ours. We had one speaker that was Goal Zero, so we brought that back to our organization. You had another individual that spoke at one of these, did some scaffolding and worked very high. I think he worked at BP Cherry Point and was a very good speaker, and that was a very powerful message. So there's been a number of safety messages that we have brought back to ours, which then have went through our internal infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to note that many of the subject matter experts that you have here, we also know just from our day-to-day work in these refineries, and we have contact with them. And it's great to have that bond that we develop here during the trade show and conference, be able to take that into the business end of it.
Like Mitch Maloney, Tarek Malik, those kind of folks are very well known in the industry, and we deal with them both here and outside of it. So it helps our relationship, with each of them.
But has there ever been like a surprising guy walks up and says, "Can you come to my plant next week because we are in serious trouble," and you respond?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had a number of leads that have came from the show that have turned into immediate projects of work. This show in particular, we've already had 3 people come up to us. Total is one of them. BP is another one. Valero is another one, or ExxonMobil. And they've come up and talked about very specific projects and needs that they have currently. And then over the years, we've done a number of projects and also have a chance to go out to dinner and meet with the clients in a relaxed atmosphere. That leads to us understanding more about their problems and some of the alternatives and solutions that we can bring to them in a very relaxed atmosphere. So get a chance to really interact where they're outside of the refinery and they're not under the pressures of meetings and time schedule.
But then also with the catcracking.com and the work that we get involved with, I mean, there's a lot of cross-pollination between these units because it's still one refinery, and then we're able to work in all of them.
And the people move around through those units. And doing this?
It's a small community,
Yeah.
and one of the things that we see here is the people that we meet, and they may go from one refinery to another, but somehow they end up back here. And some have went overseas and worked for 5 years, and they're now back in a different capacity, but they always end up back at coking.com, and we see them again.
Yeah, and even if they retire.
Yeah.
And I mean, they retire and then they come back
And they
work
consult.
Consulting
Yes,
company or something.
absolutely.
Perfect.